Porsche Performance Report is back, folks, but this year we'll check out the top offensive units in the league, and as of now, no surprise, Super Bowl champion St. Louis Rams ranked #1. That thanks to their remarkable performance against the Broncos on Monday night, as we bring you back inside of Studio 2A here in Los Angeles. Well, today in Minnesota, the defensive-minded Dolphins, who are coming off of a shutout last Sunday against Seattle, visit the explosive Minnesota Vikings. Now, the question is, can Vikings quarterback Dante Culpepper continue to add some spice to their offense? Or will the Dolphins D turn the Metrodome into Dante's Inferno? Jeannie Zalasko is in Minnesota with the answer. Hello, Jeannie.
Hello, JB. You know, I got a good story for you. Dennis Green was trying to convince me earlier this week that his quarterback is primarily a throwing quarterback and that he's not looking to run all the time. Now, I suggested he might want to tell that to Dante Culpepper, who rushed for 73 yards and 3 touchdowns in his debut. But what else would you expect from a 6'4", 260-pound quarterback that's been called a tank, a fullback with an arm, even a Humvee?
No, I haven't heard of that. I've never heard of that one.
And, I mean, he outweighs me by 30 pounds. But I'm still going to try to hit him high, but I definitely don't want to get ran over by him.
He's very shifty being at 260, and he's very strong, so not one guy's going to bring him down.
Being that Dante is bigger than Jason Taylor, we don't have anybody that we could simulate being a quarterback to try to get him on the ground. I mean, that's what makes it so unusual.
Well, he's a big guy. He definitely is. But he's a big guy who can run. So it definitely presents a lot of problems, especially for those little defensive backs.
Those same little DBs who will have to contend with Pro Bowl receivers Cris Carter and Randy Moss, who should have a lot more freedom this week since Miami likes the one-on-one style of defense.
And I think Randy and Cris, I'll go with those guys any day on that matchup because I feel we have an advantage when teams go man-to-man.
We take what the defense will give us. If they don't respect Randy Moss down the field, that's what they'll get. If you don't respect Cris Carter working underneath and working the sidelines, that's what you get. If you think that you can stop Robert Smith with 7 in the box, that's what you get. So if indeed the quarterback can make something happen with his legs, that's a possibility also.
Well, Dante Culpepper is on pace to rush for 48 touchdowns this season. That is not a real possibility, but the Vikings sure like their options, and they'll take all the offense they can get because the defense is still a work in progress. They actually tied Dallas last week for most yards allowed at 425. J.J. Johnson will be active this week for the Dolphins. He's going to try to exploit that defense. And speaking of the Dolphins defense, they will be without Terrence Shaw. The knee surgery is still a problem for him there when he tries to change directions. JB, it is not a good week to be short a cornerback, but it is a great week to go ahead and have a pickle. I'm going right now. Thanks, Terry. Thank you very much.
Oh, Jeannie, Terry's got you going now. Thank you so much, Jeannie. All right, well, speaking of Minnesota, former Vikings quarterback Randall Cunningham gets the start tonight for the Cowboys, and Big D's clash with the Cardinals. Headlines, check it out.
Check this out. Tonight, the boys head to the desert looking for redemption against the Snakes Cards after a rough week in Big D, to say the least.
It's unfortunate for him because I know he wanted to be here and come here and show people what Joey Galloway was all about.
After losing wide receiver Joey Galloway for the season, quarterback Troy Aikman was diagnosed with his 9th career concussion.
Troy made it clear to us today that he would like to play in Sunday's game. That's not going to happen.
I'm thinking he should retire. I think that would be best for him, and I think that would be best for the team.
The troubled Cowboys shouldn't look for Arizona to be gracious hosts. Cincinnati hosts the Browns in the brand new Paul Brown Stadium. The QB class of '99 started off well last week. Now Akili Smith looks to join the party. The good news is that both these teams can't lose. This Battle of Ohio combined for a total of 6 wins last season. Speaking of wins, the Jags have had plenty. Jacksonville hasn't lost a regular season game to a team not called the Titans since 1998. Today, they take on the Ravens, who they've never lost to. But Baltimore is banking that things will change. Tennessee doesn't want things to change. Check this out. The Titans have never lost at home. Well, sort of. After changing their venue and their name last year, they went 9-0 in their stadium. They're hoping Elvis won't be cruel when he and KC visit the Music City today. The Raiders travel to Indy for the first time ever. Andre Rison knows something about traveling. Last week, he became the first player in NFL history to score a touchdown for 7 different teams. For Indy, the three amigos look to continue to win versus the West. Monday! This bowl may have lost its tune-up, but the rivalry is still there. Bill Belichick left the Jets in a New York minute. Now, with a healthy Vinny and a speedy Curtis, the Jets look to can the Pats.
Dallas at Arizona, as we heard in the clip earlier, that audio clip from Dallas, that is the talk in Dallas, as a matter of fact, Cris, that Troy Aikman should retire. He's had 3 concussions in his last 10 games, 9 total, as we're told. Your thoughts?
I think he should retire, too. And I'll tell you why. It's not so much the fact that he had 9 concussions. Obviously, that's bad enough. It's how he's getting them now. I watched those hits last week in the ball game against Philadelphia. And, yes, he got hit hard, but not the kind of concussion like we saw when Steve Young got knocked out of the game, the big shot. It seems like it's a much lesser blow that seems to be knocking him out of the games right now, and that's frightening. I like Troy Aikman. I just don't want to see anything happen to him long term. People are starting to wake up to this concussion issue around the league. Both of the players that had concussions last week sitting out this week, Sam Garnes for the Giants as well. Troy, I just think you need to do the right thing and retire.
Lee Steinberg is the agent for both Troy Aikman and for Steve Young. Both of these guys have been to concussion conferences set up by Lee Steinberg. Troy Aikman left the football field last week against the Eagles, walked off the field, blurred vision, thought he had left the contact, had the contact knocked out, went back on the field to look for it, then realized, wait a minute, I had laser surgery. I don't wear contacts. That's when they knew he had a concussion. Verified. This is Troy Aikman's not 9th concussion. This is Troy Aikman's 10th concussion, according to Lee Steinberg. Now, Troy Aikman not in this football game. Troy Aikman not going to play. And Howie, the thing is, on a scale of 1 to 10, Troy Aikman's concussion would be ranked about a 6. Does Jerry Jones want him to play this week? No. Why? $16 million will count against the cap of $62 million, or roughly 25% of that cap. If he plays this week, gets another concussion, which would be 11, and then has to retire from the NFL.
But you're not saying it's a money issue,
I think it is some part, yes. I do think it's some money. Steve Young left, everybody thinks because of concussions, but the point is he tried to re-sign with Denver.
Well, you know, the thing is, like the Steve Young situation, the prospects are not good for Troy Aikman in Dallas. If last week's indication was any indication of their pass protection ability, they had a number of breakdowns. The quarterbacks had not hit the hot reads. The wide receivers did not go with the checkdowns. They have spent the entire week working on stunt pickups. Philadelphia did nothing elaborate in that game that they had not seen in training camp. This was a total breakdown, and a majority of the breakdowns, the culprit were the 5 guys that missed the majority of the snaps in training camp. I guarantee you if the protection is anything like it was last week, Troy Aikman will not survive the season.
Hey, TV, I heard to talk about the money issue, but Jerry Jones told Troy to sit out. Would that make any difference? Because Troy wanted to play.
Okay, who runs the show? Jerry Jones. Everybody knows if you're going to be the head coach in Dallas, you have to have a great offensive and defensive coordinator, because that head coach is accountable strictly to Jerry Jones.
Jerry Jones and Troy are very close, so I don't think it's a money issue at all. And if it is, they ought to go ahead and take the hit now and start to rebuild.
Wouldn't you listen to Jerry Jones if he had taken care of you like Jerry has on Troy Aikman?
You'll hear from the hottest thing in Philadelphia since pickle juice. His name is Deuce, and even though the casual fan knows little about Speedy Staley, there's nothing casual about his game. Meanwhile, they tore up the NFL, then they tore up their ACLs. But now, Jamal Anderson and Terrell Davis are on the comeback trail.
It's crazy because I was like, okay, you know, talking to people like after the Super Bowl, was like, oh, you guys are kind of connected. Then we both blew out our knee. I'm like, oh, we're stuck. But forever, it's going to go Terrell, Jamal, Terrell. Yeah, it's cool, though.